The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Henderson, Nevada, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34124. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just under the front bumper, you'll find 2 tow hooks on the passenger and driver side. Moving up onto the face of the bumper, on each side, you'll find your siren and PA speaker. Just inside of that location, you'll find dual air horns. As we move to the center where the E85 call sign is located, you'll find release mechanisms to allow you to gain access in the front bumper load. Moving to the bumper extension side, you'll find an emergency warning light. Moving back up onto the bumper, you'll find on the passenger side your bell. Just inside of that location, you'll find a tub storage location and also your mechanical siren on the driver's side. Moving to the face of the cab, you'll find on each side marker lights and turn indicator. Just inside of that location, you'll find your headlight structure housing the low and high beams. Up from that light structure, you'll find an additional light structure housing emergency warning lights. As we move just underneath the Pierce logo is where you'll find the release mechanism for your hood. Moving over to the windshield area, you'll find a seamless one-piece windshield with 3 windshield wipers. Moving out to the outer edge A-pillar corner, you'll find flat mirror and convex mirror. Moving up to the very top, you'll find running lights located across the brow of the apparatus. In the center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. Moving up onto the roof of the apparatus, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Just inside that light bar, in the very center, is where you'll find your opticom. Let's move around now to the side of the cab, where you'll find easy access pull handles, which can be utilized with a glove. They are keyed. Moving up from that location, you'll find on each point of entry grab handles. And located just over the front tire is where you'll find a side-facing lower warning light. Let's take a look at the warning lights. We have one on the front bumper, just over the front tire, and one over the rear tire. Upward, we'll find the upper warning lights. You'll find a blue and red on the upper portion of the body. You'll also find a side-facing floodlight and also a LED tank indicator for your water level. The very rear section, you'll find a side-facing floodlight. Let's take a look at some close-ups on the other side. Just behind the driver's doors where you'll find your auto eject plugs, there are 2 of them. And you'll also find the water tank level indicator in the upper corner of the cab corner. Let's take a look at some close-ups of the items we just talked about. Here are the 2 tubbed storage locations on the passenger side and directly in the center. As we move to the other side, you'll find an additional location for storage. Let's go to the Pierce logo. Directly behind it, you'll feel for the latch, which will give you access under the hood. Once you've gained access, on the very left-hand side in this image, you'll find your refill location for your windshield wiper fluid. Moving over to the right side, you'll find your cab raise and lower. There are instructions on it, in addition with a red indicator for lower and raise, and a remote which has the yellow with black knob. All the way to the right, you'll find your power steering fluid. Let's take a look at some close-ups. Here's the headlight structure and also emergency warning lights. As we move up to the light bar area, you'll see that forward-facing flood and also light bar. Let's move to the side of the cab where you'll find 2 auto eject plugs. One is your battery charger. It's a 20 amp. And the other is your crew cab AC shoreline inlet. It's a 20 amp auto eject plug. Let's move just behind the rear seat of the driver position where you'll find in the window your auto charge status center. When plugged into shore power, that unit will be activated. As we move to the notch on the pump panel, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge. You'll also find an air supply valve, and then just beneath that, an air supply outlet for tools. Moving just to the right, you'll find your large diameter pump intake.
As we move toward the Pierce logo, just beneath that we have a few warning labels here I'll discuss. First, foam failure warning. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam. Also to the right, you'll find your fill and draft tank lever, and also beneath that, you'll find an additional warning indicating do not climb on or ride on the side of your apparatus while it is in motion. Let's move down to the lower left corner where you'll find your color-coded and labeled drains. Moving just inside of that location, you'll find a warning label here regarding pressure hazard. Be cautious when opening caps, they may be under pressure. And to the right, you'll find a 2.5-inch female driver's side auxiliary inlet. Couple close-up of those items: air supply and air tool outlet, driver's side number 1. Moving to the right, this is the draft foam tank lever. And as we move down to the very bottom, you'll find all your discharge drains and also that pressure warning hazard. Let's move to the next compartment, and we'll start up at the very top. When your pump is properly engaged, that light will be illuminating. We'll actually start on the left-hand side of your pump panel with your engine information. In the gray module area, you'll find on the left volts and oil gauges, and on the right, you'll find water and fuel gauges. Directly in the center, you'll find a tachometer. Let's move some of the tally lights. Let's first start with the 3 on the left: oil pressure, a stop engine, and battery. You see those are in red, indicating stop engine. On the right-hand side, we'll find a water temperature, check engine, and low fuel. And at the very top, you'll find a check transmission, which will amber color. You'll also find an amber check engine. And on the far left, this is the stop engine, which would be displaying a red tally light. Let's take a look up at the very top. That's that OK to pump, because the light has been properly illuminated. You're in proper gear. Just down from that, you'll find your master pump intake gauge, and to the right, you'll find your master discharge gauge. To the right, you'll find your PCM fault with an amber indicator. As we move downward from that location, you'll find the vacuum and pressure test gauge ports. They are currently plugged and are for testing purposes. As we move down, you'll find all of your color-coded and labeled, organized in a direct horizontal line discharge. To the right, you'll find your foam A, which is a green outer module, and then you'll also find in blue that water module. Let's go back to the pump panel, just down to the next section where you'll find your Husky 3 foam system module. It's the red module on the left. There is a power on and off switch, which is in green. Just beneath that, you'll find a digital readout displaying the percentage of foam. To increase or decrease that percentage, it is the gray buttons on the left-hand side of the image. Also on the module, you'll find an orange or yellow colored prime button. Number 4 on your instructions also indicates the prime indicator flashing LED light. As we move to the right, you'll find your fire pump primer. There are instructions just beneath that for priming instructions, best practices, 1000 RPMs. As we move further to the right, this is your front bumper area. This is that 1-inch decon line. And then we'll also find at the very top your pressure throttle governor. We'll go over that governor now. Let's start first in the upper left-hand corner. If illuminated, it would be a check engine light. In the center, you'll find a digital readout for the RPM. And to the right, if illuminated, it would be red in color, which is a stop engine indicator. Let's move down from this location to the blue menu button. This allows you to scroll through the various menu functions. In between that and the silence button, you'll find diagnostic engine information. And as we move to the right, the red button is the silence button, which allows you to silence any audible alarms that may be sounding. Just down from that location, 2 buttons, pressure and RPM. Those are the 2 modes that you have for your pressure throttle governor. Digital display with information displaying digitally. And also to the right, you'll find your ready throttle indicator that will flash green in color. Just beneath that, you also have the ability to preset functions within your throttle pressure governor. That will be the green button. Just down from that, you'll find the throttle, right to increase, left to decrease, push in the center for idle. The audible alarm is just beneath that, and it is something that you will hear very loud. If you need to dampen the sound, the outer edge of that bezel does dampen the sound. Up in the right-hand corner, you'll find your recirculating line. There are two electronic valves here. First, number 2 passenger side and large diameter passenger side. To the right, you'll find the driver's side discharge and deluge discharge. On the very far left-hand side, you'll find your tank fill and tank to pump. Let's move down to the very bottom module here where we'll find your minimum operation and maintenance schedule. We'll go over that in just a moment, and also your primer drain. We do have a warning label here regarding only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment only after they've received proper training. And to the right, you'll find a pan door. We'll go over that in the next set of images. Across the bottom, color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's take a look inside the pan door on your far right-hand side. There are two things of attention in here. First, the manual pump shift override, which is the protected switch in red at the bottom, with an indicator light on the far right-hand side. If we look further back in the image, you'll find the yellow handle. That yellow handle coincides with the instructions on the inside of the pan door. This is the foam lever operations. For foam operations, horizontal, and for fill, vertical. Restore back to its original position for operations. Husky Foam System 3 specifications on the left-hand side of the compartment, along with your generator operating instructions. Let's go back to that minimum operation maintenance schedule. On the left-hand side are the GPM. Directly in the center is the 150, 200, and 250 test pressures. On the right, the associated RPM. Job number is located, and also the pump number is located in the two positions at the very top. Let's move now just inside that compartment where you'll find your G1, which stands for Generator Continuous Power. This is the panel regarding your generator for the breaker box. Down at the bottom, you do have an electrical warning because there is the possibility of electrical hazard. Do not remove the panel. Let's move from this location to the next compartment just over the rear axle where you'll have a divider, adjustable shelf, LED lighting, and also dry deck material. In front of and rear of the axle, you'll find SCBA bottle storage. On the rear side, it is limited in capacity for SCBA bottle storage because we have the ultra low sulfur diesel, which is your silver cap. As you return the lever to the downward position, it exposes the 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. There's also on the exterior of the vehicle, near the rear axle, a generator power. This is an exterior plug. Let's move to the very rear compartment. LED lighting you'll find in this compartment, and also as we move around to the rear, we'll start at the discharge port. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll find the discharge port. In the upper left, you'll also find an additional discharge port here, which is a 2.5-inch discharge. Moving toward the center, you'll find your backup camera recessed in the rear section, and also your traffic advisor just below that. We do have a few warning labels here I'd like to cover. First, starting on the left with a pressure hazard warning label. Because of those caps that may be under pressure, be cautious when opening them. Also, you'll find because of those hoses coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement, and that's how we have a warning label there. On the right, here are the two warning labels for fall and fall not riding on the rear of the apparatus while it's in motion. Here's the number 1 and number 2 rear discharges. As we move now, you'll find just beneath that ladder storage, and I'll go over that in just a moment. Let's move up to the very top where you've got additional compartment storage. This is facing the rear of the apparatus. Just down from that location, you'll find your 10-foot folding and also 2 tubes for long tool handles. Just down from that, you'll find your ladder storage location, 24-foot extension, 14-foot roof. Moving further down from that location, you're going to find 2 cupped switches. These are your hose bed lights and also rear scene lights. Down in the very center, you'll find a roll-up compartment door, adjustable shelving, dry deck material, and LED lighting. Let's move up to the right-hand corner of the apparatus where we'll find additional long handle tool storage. As we move down from that location, you'll find an additional storage compartment. Let's move up onto the top of the apparatus, first starting with the 2 compartments on the outer edges. 2 on the right side, 2 on the left side. The very center, your hose bed has a diamond plate cover. There are 2 release mechanisms required for opening, and also there are 4 grab handles located in the front and rear section. The yellow diamonds indicate a walking area and the edge for firefighter safety. As we move to the rear compartment, you'll find your electrical cord reel. It's located at the very top, although it does feed down lower into the lower compartment. We'll go over that in just a few moments. Let's move from this location, take a look at some of the other compartments within this area. We'll go ahead and now view to the dunnage area where you'll find your master stream device and also the hydraulic reservoir and pump for your Husky 3 foam system. On the very top of the Husky 3 foam system is where you'll find the fill location for the foam hydraulic oil reservoir. Moving to the center location, you'll find your extend-a-gun, allowing you to raise your master stream device. You'll also find the top fill location for your water tank. We do have a warning label on that, not to step on it. And also the foam tank for foam tank A. Also a warning label, not to step, but there is also an additional warning label here. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam. You may have foam failure. Let's move to the rear section of the dunnage where you'll find your generator. We have start and stop instructions on the top of this, in addition with some warning and danger labels within this area. As we move to the cab, this is a non-walking surface. We'll now go ahead and move to the driver's area, first starting with the door panel on the left-hand side of the image. These are your warning labels. They are affixed to all door panels at all locations within your vehicle. There's also seatbelt information. And as we move from this location, we're going to go ahead and start at the very top with the electric windows and also your door handle and lock. As we move from this location, let's move to the floorboard area where you'll find your air inlet on the right-hand side below the seat area, and then also 2 foot pedals, air horn, and mechanical siren, and to the right you'll find your brake treadle and accelerator. Up at about the left knee of the operator is where you'll find your yellow placard manufactured for your department, date of manufacture, job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, VIN number, and all of your fluid capacities, components, and fluid types. Let's move up from this location where you'll find 3 diagnostic ports, tech module, engine transmission ABS diagnostic port, and also the display port. You'll also find your ABS diagnostic switches, engine diagnostics, engine inhibit, and also DPF region switches on the very bottom. Let's move up from this location. We'll remain on the same side of the steering column. You have a master battery switch in red. Left is off, right is on. To the dash, you'll find your transmission DEF level oil and water temp. On the right, you'll find front and rear air, fuel, and volts. Located in the center, you'll find your tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information displays above and below the speedometer. On the left-hand side of the column, you'll find your start ignition switches and also hazard lights. Just inside of that location, you'll find an EM switch, emergency master. You'll also find headlights and panel lights, which allows the operator to brighten or dim panel lights within his preview. To the right, you'll find the high idle, indicator, and switch. At the very top, you'll find your Pierce command zone. A tremendous amount of information here at your fingertips. Please see your owner's manual for more information. On the right-hand side, you'll find your Allison transmission pad with an indication to pump in neutral. Starting at the very top with the radio master, 2 future locations, 120 VAC transfer, front flood, driver's side flood, passenger side flood, and cab flood. Next set of switches down are engine brake, a setting switch for low, medium, and high. You have your off-road traction, mirror heat, generator, and generator running indicator. On the right, you'll find your traffic advisor, the switch for low, off, and high, and also function. Your water pump and foam system pump with a indication for stationary OK to pump and roll, in addition with a push to talk for your radio. Let's go ahead and move forward and upward to the windshield area where you'll find your controls for defrost and heat and AC. Moving just on top of that location, you'll find the mirror control for flat and convex. And on the side of that location, you'll find your 12-volt access for USB plugins. Let's go over the driver's seat area In the upper left-hand corner of the operator, you'll find the height of your vehicle, 10 feet 7 inches, length 32 feet 9.5 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 48,500 pounds. If you make any changes, please update this placard. Let's move just to the right. We'll cover some of the memory switches here. First, starting on the left-hand side with your emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, upper rear warning, high beam flash, and opticom. To the right, you'll find your electronic siren, perimeter lighting, rear scene, load manager, and a siren brake. Just to the right, you're also going to find your siren control and PA speaker system. Further to the right, you'll find the mic holder and also a pump pressure, water level indicator, and foam level indicator for tank A. Let's go ahead and move overhead of the operator's position. You'll find your David Clark headset system with a push to talk. You'll also find some warning labels here, push on and off red and white lenses. At the very center location closest to the windshield, you'll also find your do not move your apparatus if this light is flashing. That's an indicator you may have a compartment or door open. Let's move from this location. Just in the front section here, there are 2 flashlights located on the map box location. As we move to the exterior, going now into the rear seats of your apparatus, once again, safety labels and caution and warning labels affixed to the door panel. Also a grab handle to access for firefighters. Fold-up seats in the very rear. As we look to the center back wall, we'll find an additional compartment, LED lighting, adjustable shelving, and also an outlet located in the very rear section. That would be utilized when plugged into shore power. On the front of this, you'll find your EMS lock box. You'll also find your compartment light switches. Let's move and take a quick look forward looking. These are the 2 compartments that would be rear facing. LED lighting, adjustable shelving, 12 volt, and also shoreline generated outlets here, 20 amp. Also, just above those compartments, you'll find additional smaller compartments with a lift up door. Let's move now from this location to the side where you'll find your David Clark headset system and also volume control. In the very center, in the rear section of the engine apparatus, you'll find your transmission and oil daily checks. Let's move now to the rear section of the cab. Same configuration on this side, except we do have a rear-facing seat. We're now at the front seat or officer's location. Once again, affixed to the door panel, you'll have those safety warning labels. This is looking from in the seat downward toward the dash, where you'll find your computer access location. You'll also find a bell rope, which happens to be a cable. And then we'll also find from this location, more left of the operator's seat, you'll find 12 volt access, push to talk for your radio, your vehicle data recorder, an additional 12 volt barrel style, and a parking brake pull. Located in the center area, you'll find your AM/FM, weather band, CD player, Bluetooth, stereo, and then you'll also find just to the right of that location, your unit radio. As we move now exterior to the compartment, we mentioned previously that extension wheel at the very top for electrical. This is the location and compartment that it does drop into. There are adjustable shelving and pull-out trays in this area. There's also your generator starting location. This is the passenger side rear compartment. Let's move inside that compartment. You can see here, this is where that 200-foot 20 amp electrical cord is. And also down at the lower section, you'll find your generator panel, generator start and stop, indicator when it's in operation. You'll also find instructions affixed just to the right wall next to the generator switching. You'll also find the cord rewind. This is for that 200-foot yellow electrical cord. I would like to point out the very bottom here, difficult to see. This is a warning label. Be cautious where you park your vehicle. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures. On this side, you'll also find SCBA bottle storage and oxygen storage bottles. They do have retaining straps for both of the SCBA bottles. Let's move upward where you'll find 2 drop-down trays. These are intended here for your SCBAs or SCBA bottles. From this location, let's move to the very top of the compartment where you'll find a shoreline outlet. This is a 20 amp plug. Once again, operating when either plugged into shore power or operating the generator. You'll find your little giant just down at the very bottom, and also your exhaust for your generator and also main exhaust for your engine. Let's move to the passenger side notch. At the very top, you're going to find a foam drain. Moving to the right, this is a warning label, once again, regarding fall hazard. As we move just inside of that location, you'll find your large diameter pump intake. And further to the right, we've got an additional warning label here regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure, so be cautious when opening them. To the right, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge. This discharge is one of those electronic valves, so it turns on from the pump panel side. There is an override, and you can see that just down at the very bottom. As we move to the left-hand side, you'll find your 2.5-inch female auxiliary passenger side inlet, and to the right, you'll find your large diameter discharge. Once again, electric valve override down in the lower left. Across the very bottom, you'll find all your color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's take a look at some close-ups. First, the foam A drain. Moving to the right, this is that fall hazard warning label. We've got that warning label for pressure hazard, and I'm highlighting here the override location. A couple more images of your apparatus before we close out this orientation video. Congratulations, Henderson Fire, on your new fire apparatus. Job number 34124. If you have any questions regarding this video or have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.